Okay, entomology. Here we are looking at module 6, lesson 19. Kind of the pain that can be induced from insects. But we're going to go a little bit beyond insects to make it a little more cool, have some more fun with it, get a little more in depth with some things. Along with this lecture, there's a lot of cool videos that I've posted in the lesson, so I hope you get a chance to take a look at those. They are important. There's some that are more fun and others that are clearly learning stuff and more important. So, in this one right now, what we're going to focus on is the stings in Hymenoptera, and then we'll get to bites and sting hairs kind of in the second part of this. So, Hymenoptera, we've already talked a lot about Hymenoptera. They have a modified ovipositor that has evolved into a stinger. And it's really kind of a cool adaptation. They can still oviposit things. Obviously, they have to because a female still have to lay an egg, and ovipositors is a organ for laying eggs, and but not their traditional ovipositors, just the stinger. It's one basic group that has kind of evolved this capability. It's a very, very huge adaptation, so it's not something that's evolved lots of times. It's evolved once, but then there's a massive amount of variation in the Hymenoptera that have the stinger, right? And that leads to a lot of variation in the amount in intensity and length of the pain that you feel, and we're going to spend some time on that, especially in the videos that I'm attached to the first half of this lesson that are really fun, informative and cool, but also a cautionary tale, hopefully. The cool thing is, once they had evolved this ovipositor that can sting, then the toxins seem to have quite a bit of variation in them, and we're not going to worry about individual toxins. We're mostly just going to focus on what's more painful and what's not. Kind of general rules, being like usually things that are social have a more powerful sting than the ones that are solitary, but then the spider wasps don't really follow that rule, and the velvet ants. There's just a lot of coolness with this. So what we see here is this is Schmidt's Sting Pain Index, or he has another name for it, but I can't remember. You don't need to memorize any of this, but it probably would be cool if you knew these three kind of in the middle, that the only ones that get a 4 on the pain index: the bullet ant, which is right here, the tarantula hawk, which is right there, and then we've got the now I'm also drawing a blank, the warrior wasp. That's right, which is right here. I've collected quite a few tarantula hawks. I've seen a really cool warrior wasp nest when I was down in Colombia a few years back. I've never encountered a bullet ant. Never been stung by any of them, and I don't want to be stung by any of them. They're pretty nasty. But with these, this is just kind of a cool little schematic someone drew to just show the amount of pain that different things can provide for you. If you kind of scroll through, you can do this on your own. We'll have these things posted. But you can see what each one of these things are and where they kind of fall out. Some of the other really bad ones, the red-headed paper wasp seems pretty terrible. The Florida harvester ant, the velvet ant. I had collected a lot of velvet ants in my time. They're so cool. I've never been stung by one. I did have a friend that thought, I could probably grab that thing really quick. It was going along the ground, grabbed it to toss it in his little vial, and the thing stung him underneath his fingernail. And he said it was excruciating, and there was kind of no way he could get even to it because of his fingernail. He's like, I wanted to kind of rip my fingernail off and put ice on it. But it sounded pretty awful. Just so you know. But like I said, in the lesson itself, that I really want you to spend some time with, there's a lot of really good videos about this. There's a little video kind of introducing Schmidt, nice guy who is probably a little bit crazy because he's been stung many, many times. Then there's a part of a podcast you can listen to if you like that's not part of the critical information for the lecture. It was part of Science Friday, which is always good. It's always good to listen. Science Friday is fantastic. So I put the link in there as well. But then there's a little bit more of the truth about insect stings and the 8 of the worst stinging insects. That's one of the SciShow ones. The truth about the insect stings has a lot of really good information. In the lesson notes, you'll see the things I kind of want you to pay attention to as you watch the videos. They're really good. And then kind of to round off the rest of the stinging videos, there's one with, his name's I think Coyote Peterson, getting stung by a bullet ant. You should definitely check that out. It is so funny. It is so funny. And I know I shouldn't say that, but the guy has a YouTube channel. He intentionally gets stung by things. I think he knows that the humor is why he gets 20 million views on a video of him getting stung by a bullet ant. It's pretty awful. Not something I'm ever going to want to go through, but it's also pretty funny. Now, the nice thing about Hymenoptera stings, and I'm not going to, this isn't a hard, fast rule, but for the most part, they're not going to kill you. They're going to be painful and obnoxious, but you get stung by one thing, it's not going to be that huge of a deal unless 2 things could happen. Number 1, if you are allergic, then you got to be really careful. My brother is allergic, and he's a big-time bird watcher, so he's in the field a lot, out looking at stuff, always has an up-to-date EpiPen with him just in case, because he's been on camping trips before, been stung, and he's had a lot of these symptoms, right? These are the things that you're going to see if you get nailed by something and you're allergic. He got nailed on the arm, and his arm swelled up. He said just like just massive swelling. Luckily, it did not close off his windpipe. This is the real threat right there. You don't want the difficulty breathing or swallowing. That's when it gets really serious and pretty dangerous. You got to be careful when that's going down. Of course, if it's really bad with loss of consciousness and things, that's even worse. So if you are allergic, it's good to know that you're allergic and to take an EpiPen. The other thing to worry about, though, is getting mass stung. So if you are near or attacking a hive of something, they'll all come after you. There's one video I didn't put in there. I probably should have. But a bee, I'm going to say I'm going to draw this. So say this is your skin and a bee comes to sting you. There's a little abdomen. Its stinger is barbed. And the honeybee is pretty bad, right? It's not a great one to get stung by. Here's your honeybee. And it's kind of poisonous, but then when it pulls away, it actually detaches the end of its abdomen. So that honeybee's going to die. But when it does that, this is kind of gross but cool, a little pheromone is released that says, hey, this is bad. I just stung this thing. I'm dying. But that pheromone is released. It's going to send a lot of other bees at you. Say, hey, go get this guy. He's a dirtbag. We need to kill him. So getting stung by lots and lots of things can be extremely dangerous, especially if you're immune compromised or if you're older or super young. Those Africanized killer bees that people talked a lot about a few years ago, something to watch out for. Killed a lot of pets that were on leashes that couldn't get away. And a couple old people. My next door neighbor, actually, he has a big, huge piece of property, something like 50 acres or something ridiculous like that. and a little stream on it, he walked over a yellow jacket nest. Okay, now the yellow jackets, let me get rid of this drawing here. Should be on here somewhere. Well, the bald-faced hornets, those are nasty. The maculata, the bald-faced hornet, that registers just as a 2. That's probably about the same as a yellow jacket. The thing is so hard to see on here. So I realized I was doing some great radio, hunting around looking for something. I guess the yellow jacket isn't actually on here, but the bald-faced hornet, honey wasp. On the next one over, there's the paper wasp, the Polistes, unstable paper wasp. I like the name of that. The unstable paper wasp. Those are all registered at 2. The yellow jacket is probably at a 2. My neighbor Ben, a lot of these, they nest in the ground. He stepped into a nest, and they just all came out and started stinging him like crazy. And he luckily laid down in his creek. That drowned the ones that were trying to sting him, stopped others from stinging him, and quickly cooled his body. The doctor said it probably saved his life. So getting massively attacked or having anaphylactic shock, those are the 2 things that can cause the most problem. You'll see it when you see the video, and I wrote some things in the notes, but the thing you got to read in here that is just so funny is the way Schmidt wrote up descriptions of these is just so fun. He's hilarious. Let's see, the red paper wasp, that's registering at a 3. That's pretty funny. Like, caustic and burning, distinctly bitter aftertaste, like spilling a beaker of hydrochloric acid on a paper cut. I mean, giant paper wasp, that was a red paper wasp. The giant paper wasp, there are gods, and they do throw thunderbolts. Poseidon has rammed his trident into your breast. The fierce black Polyba wasp, a ritual gone wrong, satanic. A gas lamp in the old church explodes in your face when lit. Fantastic. I gotta go back to the other page. The really bad ones, the tarantula hawk and the bullet ant. The bullet ant is the best one. Right down here you can see pure, intense, brilliant pain like walking over flaming charcoal with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel. Or the tarantula hawk, blinding, fierce, shocking, electric. A running hairdryer has been dropped into your bubble bath. A bolt out of the heavens, lie down and scream. It makes me want to, have this guy's job and get stung by a lot of things. Just kidding. Never in a million. I've collected a lot of these, not been stung by any of them, and I'm happy that is the case. Here's a couple of wonderful images. I'm a little limited in what options I have for images, so just Google if you want some more fun of nasty Hymenoptera stings. How to prevent stings? Well, number 1 is don't be like Coda Peterson. Don't go find it in nature and put it on your skin and irritate it and try and get stung. Just word of caution. But avoid wearing sandals or walking barefoot in the grass. Don't swat at or run from bees. Gently brush them away. Don't drink from open soda cans. They attract bees. The guy on the left, or the right, for sure, probably was drinking out of a soda can, and the hornet flew out and nailed him in the face. So don't do that. Cover outdoor garbage with tightly fitting lids. Avoid sweet-smelling perfumes. Be careful when doing yard work. Wear socks and shoes. Use screens on doors and windows. Keep car windows closed while driving. Wear long pants and long sleeves outdoors. Just use common sense. I think that's probably where we'll go. I'm going to pause here. We'll come back a little later to the stings.